Hi everyone, welcome back to the GyalDem City Podcast, hosted by Sarcasm City TV. If you're watching this, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching through Periscope, jump over to YouTube, like, subscribe, and put any comments below. Also, in the comment section, if you want to ask us anything, feel free to drop a comment, and we will try and get around to answering any questions you have. Today it's hosted by myself, Yannicka, and Rose. So today we're just going to talk briefly about the Olympiacos game in the Champions League. So we'll start with that. So Rose, how did you think the game went overall?
I thought it was another solid performance in the Champions League. I know that Olympiacos had around 2 to 3 chances that had they taken those opportunities, it probably would have been a bit of a different game. But overall, I thought that in the end we did quite well. It was nice to see Torres score again. That's 3-3 now in the Champions League. He's literally on fire. It's really exciting to just see how he's just settled in just so quickly. And yeah, it's good to see like him just performing so well in the Champions League. It was also nice to see Jesus back and scoring after that not long term, but after being out for quite a while. It was nice because for me, we need him and Torres basically back scoring. So obviously, because you know how we've got Liverpool next, it's nice to have them both back scoring and on fire.
Yeah.
And it was also nice to see Cancelo as well scoring, with Nemeka getting an assist as well. So I always like seeing City Academy players coming into the Champions League and just competitions like that, and just, you know, getting a goal and assist. It's just nice to see as well. But overall, I thought we were good. So yeah, it puts us in a really good position in the Champions League, and you know, we've got 3 games left. So I think we should do well and probably top that group.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought I think maybe last season we wouldn't have got a clean sheet. I think this season we look a lot more solid at the back, which is obviously a massive improvement for us. I didn't watch the whole game, but I saw the goals. Cancelo's was a screamer. You know, I love that. I love Cancelo, to be honest, but a lot of people say, defensively, you know, he's not the best. But I think we probably bought him because he's strong going forward. And that's kind of what we like as a team. So I think as much as it, you know, he'll get the blame if we concede, when we have games that are quite solid at the back, like now we've got Diaz and Laporte, I think he can shine because we don't need him so much defensively. So yeah, I like to see him. Obviously, Gabby coming back is big, you know. We need him for Liverpool. So we need him to come back. And the fact that he's got a goal, you know, he doesn't seem to be like Aguero. Aguero sometimes takes a little bit of time to kind of score once he's been injured. But Gabby just seems to come back and he'll get a goal. You know, because he gets criticised a lot, but I feel like with him, he always seems to score. So even if he has a terrible game, like by his standards, and he misses 7 chances, he will get a goal. So, you know, I think I'm happy to see him back, and I think we definitely do need him going forward. And then the other goal was Torres, obviously, who has just come in and he's been on fire. Because obviously before he came, I think the first stream we did, I was like, I've not really seen too much of him, so I don't really know. But he's come in, he looks great. I agree with you on the youth players coming through, because it must be amazing as a City fan, as a little boy, playing in the Champions League. Because when they were kids, you probably would have never imagined. Some of them, I suppose they're quite old, they're quite young in terms of how long City have been in the Champions League, but you know, they wouldn't imagine that their first, like Palmer, his first game is in the Champions League. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm happy for them, and I'm glad that Pep's trying to use some of them and bring some of them through. So I'm happy for that. I think in terms of the group, we should be winning that group now. I think Marseille haven't got any points, so really we should be beating them. And I think we're at home for the Marseille game as well, so we should be beating Marseille. Porto will, I think, be the tricky one because that's away. But as long as we don't lose, we should top the group. and Olympiacos again. I think that's away, so that's not going to be an easy game. But yeah, I think if we avoid defeat, we'll be fine. But we should be winning that game. So we've got a special guest on today. He's actually a Liverpool fan because we're going to be previewing the Liverpool Man City game. So he's called Raiyaan. So I'm going to welcome him to the show. Hi, Raiyaan.
Yeah. Yeah, good, thanks, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just, because we're on the subject of the Champions League, I was just going to ask you about your game, Atalanta, how you think that went, and what you expect from your team in that group.
It was a perfect performance, really. I didn't expect that, to be honest. The way we've been playing recently, even though we've been winning games, our performances have been pretty bad, to be honest, against the likes of Sheffield United, Midtjylland, West Ham. So I didn't expect that, but yeah, it was a great win away from home. I mean, Atalanta, they played really bad the other day, but they are a good team, Last season, they got to the quarterfinals, I think, and I think PSG scored 2 last-minute goals against them from what I remember. So we played really well. I didn't expect us to even win the game, to be honest, the way we've been playing, but we just looked really good all over the pitch. No one had a bad game, and yeah, just really good overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but because obviously I was watching City. But I think last season we played Atalanta. And we're really good, and they were scoring a lot of goals. I don't know so much for this season, but I know last season they were on fire. So my dad was actually saying he thinks Atalanta might win because they.
I thought they would. Goals, I thought they'd beat us.
Yeah.
I thought they'd beat us, but yeah, I mean, from the first minute, our ball retention in the first half was really good, and Jota, I'm so happy with him. The way Firmino's been playing, I just wanted him dropped. I love Firmino, but he's been really bad for, I say, since January. I'd say he's been really bad overall, and he needed to be dropped, and Klopp finally did it. And Jota, I think he scored 7 goals so far for us, so he's on fire. And for me, he's got to start on the weekend. I have a feeling he's gonna start Firmino, but for me, it's got to be Jota.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, as a striker, especially in Liverpool's team, because people say it with City all the time, Aguero will get 5 goals, and people say anyone can score in City's team.
Yeah.
But the reality is, anyone can score in Liverpool's team. But you've got people saying, "Oh, Firmino, he doesn't need to score." Yes, he does. He's a striker. That is his role. It's like saying Edison doesn't need to save because we always score 5. He can concede 4. That's not his job to concede 4. So I agree with you on that. I think he definitely needs to be dropped, and I think Jota obviously is coming on fire as well for you. So
I mean, I've always defended Firmino for the last few years in terms of his goal scoring. There was one season, I think, where he scored about 27 goals. I think in the first season we got to the Champions League final, he scored quite a few in that season. But yeah, I mean, I've always defended him because he was brought in as an attacking midfielder. He's a number 10 essentially, and he did all the job that Klopp wanted him to do, which was create, for the 2 beside him. But my problem with him is, I want him to score more goals. I always have, but in terms of his overall play, the stuff that he was good at, he's been awful at that since January, and it's become quite detrimental where he's just giving the ball away and stupidly at times, can barely control it. So he's just really low in confidence, and he just needs to be taken out of the team for a good period of time, I think. And you can't drop Jota, like I said. You can't drop a guy who's just scored a hat-trick in the Champions League.
Yeah, I think with Firmino as well, I think when you're winning, because you were doing so well last season, it doesn't matter so much. But when you need that match winner and Salah's not at the game or Mane's injured, you need him to step up. And I think that's the issue he's had, where he's been kind of exposed a little bit. Because last season, because you were winning anyway, it was like, it doesn't matter. We'd get 1 goal here and there, and people would say, look, he won that game for us. But I think, obviously, in that sort of situation, it exposes him a little bit. What do you think about him, Rose?
Jota?
No, Firmino.
Yeah, I've kind of forgotten about Firmino. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Jota's the man. He's the man. He's on fire, and I expect him to start. against City, and honestly, I'm quite worried. I'm very worried. He's just got a hat-trick. And on top of that, Salah and Mane have scored as well. So all three of them have scored, and I just expect them to just come out and attack us. So I'm worried, very worried.
Yeah.
I mean,
go on.
I mean, the good thing about Jota as well, I think it's just to put less pressure on Salah and Mane to score all the goals. You know, when Firmino's not been scoring, the pressure has all been on Salah and Mane, and you know, with Jota there's less burden on them to score the goals. And Salah as well. I've criticised Salah over the last couple of seasons in terms of he scored goals, but his overall performances have been not great at times. It's been quite frustrating. But this season he's looked completely different. He's been probably our best player along with Andy Robertson so far this season. So he's actually, to me, in terms of his overall game, looking as good, if not better, than the first season he had at Liverpool. So I think he's going to get loads this season, Salah.
Yeah. Let me just jump to one of the comments. So why not send SC? Thanks for waking up for this. He says Firmino just like lack of threat, not enough goals.
Yeah.
I think
I have to admit that. I have to admit that at the moment. I would have him over Lacazette, though, to be fair.
Lacazette can still control the ball, can't shoot. Yeah, I think Lacazette's in the same problem. I think because Arsenal are not. If Arsenal were winning every game, top of the league, Aubameyang was scoring 30-odd goals a season, I think he wouldn't be exposed. But I think because they're struggling and then he's not scoring, it exposes players more. I think we've had the same with Gabby over time. So what we'll do is we'll jump onto the Liverpool game now. I know we've already kind of started talking about it. I just wanted to kind of talk about what we think is going to happen, like what you think the score is going to be, and we'll start with that. So what do you think your score prediction will be?
It depends what team he puts out. If he puts Jota in, I think he's going to put Naby Keita in midfield, which I don't want. I'd rather have Curtis Jones in there. He played really well against Atalanta. But if he puts the team that I think he'll put out, I wouldn't be that confident, but I think we'll get a 2-2 draw out of it. But if he puts the right team out that I want him to put out, I think we can win. I think I'll go for 3-2 to us.
What do you think, Rose?
I think it's going to be a 2-2, a draw. I just don't think City's going to win, unfortunately. I hate to be like someone that's just playing it down, but no, they're on fire, honestly. And I know, Van Dijk's injured, so I do expect City to score. I expect us to score a few with Torres, and I feel like Pep might play Torres in the middle, but I'm not sure because obviously Gabby's back, so it'll be interesting to see like who he plays in the middle and who he plays on the wing. But both of them are undroppable. But I just feel like with that front three being on fire, and then with Torres and Gabby, who I think are basically gonna score. I just feel like it's gonna be like an end-to-end type of match. And even though Van Dijk's injured, it's not gonna make a difference, in my opinion. I just don't see us winning.
I think this is a hard one because last season I was like, we won't beat Liverpool. Liverpool are, playing well. Obviously, by then they kind of just won the league, so I expected them to be on a high, and I thought they'll beat us. But it's interesting because if you actually look at the results in previous years, their record at the Etihad is kind of like
terrible.
We've
lost our last three there, I think.
I think the last time you beat us, I've got it here.
Was the 4-1, I think, or
4-1. In November 2015.
I think we beat you in the Champions League. We beat you in the Champions League at the Etihad, I remember, but in the league,
in a cup as well. But in terms of the league, it's been 2015, and before that was 2008. We get a few draws. There are a few draws in between. But it's quite interesting because we beat you 4-0 last time. Before that, it was 2-1 in January 2019. Personally, I do think it's going to be a lot closer. I can't see it being like a 4-0. It could be a 2-1 again. Or the way this season's going, I'm not so sure that it's going to be. It seems to be a different kind of season. So I don't even know whether you'll beat us at our place and we might even beat you at Anfield this year.
Yeah.
Because the way the season's going, it doesn't seem like the regular season. And before that 2-1, we beat you 5-0. And then before that, it was a draw in a 1-1 draw. So I think if we do win, it'll be 2-1. But I think it could easily be a draw. So potentially 2-2 sounds like a good shout. Or because City they've been drawing this season. Normally we don't draw. So for us to have already drawn 2 games is kind of crazy. So I do think it could be won in a 3-2. But which way? I think it depends how it goes. I think if City go 2-0 up and then we'll get 2, you'll win 3-2 because we tend to collapse when our lead's gone. I think the other way around, if you go 2-0 up and we get back to 2-2, we'll win. So it depends on how the game goes. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tricky game for us. Who do you think? Yeah, go on.
I feel like we're missing key players though. Aguero, Fernandinho. That's not.
So are we.
Yeah, I know, but you still have that front three. We need Aguero. Aguero would have helped so much.
Aguero not fit
on Sunday.
Is he
not
playing?
Oh,
thank
He
God.
said that he's all right, but he doesn't want to risk coming back too early and getting injured again.
That's good.
Spurs. Yeah, so
he's got a goal guaranteed against us if he plays at the Etihad. I think he's scored in every game at the Etihad in the league against us where he's played. So thank God for that.
I think you've got Thiago out and Van Dijk.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
And Fabinho.
Fabinho. And then we've got Fernandinho, Aguero. I think that might be it. I think we've actually got a lot of our players back now.
I think is Mendy still out?
Oh yeah, Mendy's still out. Mendy's always out.
Who's going to play left back for you then?
I'm hoping it's Aki, to be honest.
Aki? Do you think?
The only reason why I'm hoping for that is because I think we need a solid back line. Yeah. And as much as I love Cancelo or whoever plays there, I think defensively they're not as strong as Aki. So I think I'd rather play a strong sort of almost free centre backs at the back. Because Aki can play there and he's looked quite solid there. So for me, when we've got Salah running at us, Mane running at us, I want the strongest back four we can possibly field. And I think Aki would be that more solid option. But I don't think he will. I think he will play the same back line that he played in the Champions League. I think he will.
I feel like Robertson's probably going to have a really good game
against
us, especially outside.
I
can just tell,
I remember him last season at the Etihad. That's the worst I've ever seen him play. So
really,
but I think coming back, I think we'd won the league the week before, so he's probably hungover or something. I guess, so.
I think if we just kind of predict the lineup, what you would like to see, and then hopefully, the manager will give us what we want. But we'll start with you, Raiyaan. What do you think?
So I'd go 4-3-3, Alisson in there, Trent right back, Robertson left back, centre backs. I think if Matip's fit enough to start, which I think he will be, then I'd put him in. And personally, I would put Reece Williams in ahead of Gomez. I just don't rate Gomez, to be honest. I want him to do well, but he just needs to come out. But he'll definitely start, unfortunately. So hopefully he has a good game. But I'd put Reece Williams in personally. Midfield, we got Thiago and Fabinho out. So I'd go Henderson, Wijnaldum and Curtis Jones. But I think he'll start Naby Keita. I think he will. And up front, I'd go Salah, Mane and Jota through the middle. Yeah. But he'll go with Firmino, I reckon.
I think he'll start Firmino.
I think he will.
I don't know why, but I think he will. I hope so, because obviously out of them two, Jota's on fire. But then Firmino's the sort of player that will score against City. He won't score for ages and then he'll score against City. So I think whoever he puts in will still give us a hard time. Who do you want, Rose, in your lineup?
I'm going to go for like a 4-3-3 as well. I'm going for Kyle Walker, obviously. Laporte, Ruben Diaz. I think Pep will start Cancelo. Don't think he's going to start Ake, unfortunately. In midfield, Rodri. But the thing is, I don't know if he should go with Gundogan or Bernardo. I know Bernardo's been hot and cold, but I can see Bernardo having an exceptional game. I don't know why. I just feel like he's just going to be up for it. And then obviously KDB. Then up front, I think he's going to go with Sterling, Jesus, and Torres. But obviously, I don't know who he's going to play middle, whether it's Torres or Jesus. But I think that's what he's going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was choosing, I would say, obviously Edison at the back. I agree with you. I think the back four that you said is who he will go with, but I would pick Ake over Cancelo because I think Cancelo can always come on. But I just want that solid, because I think with us against Liverpool, when we've conceded early, that's when we really struggle. So I think if we can keep it tight at the back, get to 60, 70 minutes without conceding, regardless of what the score is, I think then we can bring on, if we're 2-0 up, bring on Cancelo, do you know what I mean, and go for it. But yeah, I think he will play Cancelo, start Cancelo, which is fine. I do like Cancelo. And then midfield, I think he will probably play Rodri and Gundogan, which annoys City fans, obviously. Bernardo Silva, I agree. I think we'll be up for it with it being Liverpool. He's got a bit of Twitter with the fans, so I think he will be up for it. But I just don't think he will play him, unfortunately. De Bruyne, obviously, is the only one that you can predict, really. I think he will play Sterling. I'm hoping, like you say, it's Gabby and Torres. I think he'll definitely start Gabby. I can't see him starting without a striker. But I think he'll start Mahrez over Torres, and I hope not, but I think he will. And it's kind of annoying because Mahrez can't be dropped. And I think he needs to be because his performances haven't been great. So
really,
yeah, I think he's kind of, I don't know. It's weird because he's not a terrible player for us.
Yeah, I love Mahrez as a player.
Yeah, sometimes when you need him, I think it's like, where are you? Like, we need to score a goal.
Yeah.
And he's not scoring. And it's like, if you're not going to score, make way for Torres because he will, you know. So I don't know. I think what I think Pep will play and what I want are completely going to be a bit different. But I think you're right with the lineup. I think that's who we will go with. So, yeah, I think if we just go to some of the comments, see what people are saying. So scroll up a little bit. So Why Not Sentiment says Salah has slipped from his first season. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, the first season scoring 44 goals, it's going to be hard to replicate that. But I've said I think the last couple of seasons he hasn't played that well consistently. He scored goals because that's, you know, he's a goal scorer, but he hasn't been that good in terms of his overall performances. But this season he does look really good whenever he plays. So I think he's getting back up to near that level that he was in the first season.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because last season it's interesting because when you win in the league, it's almost like people will say you can't criticize them; they're winning every game.
Yeah.
But from what I did watch of Liverpool last season, I don't think he looked as good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Because you won the league, it was like, well, he's won the league or he scored X amount of goals. But that first season, he was on fire. Like it was, you know, untouchable. So yeah, I think it's hard to maintain that level. If he came and did that every season, you know, he would be the best player in the world. So I can't see that he would do that. Only really Messi and Ronaldo maintain that sort of level every season. What do you think, Rose?
Who? Oh, Salah.
Salah, yeah.
No, I feel like this season, he's going to have another great season for some reason. I think, was it last season that he wasn't as great as he was it in the first season at Liverpool? But
yeah.
no, what do you think?
I think the 2018-19 season where we won the Champions League, and obviously last season, I don't think he's still been, pretty good in terms of his goal scoring, but he hasn't looked nowhere near the player he was in the first season.
Yeah, that's exactly. I agree, but obviously it's so hard to just keep that form up season after season. We've even seen it with City, how we've just dropped off completely. But I just feel like he just had a bit of a, not going to say had a bad season, because his season last season was still really good.
Yeah.
But it was just a bit of a dip because he just started off so well.
Yeah.
But I feel like he'll be back this season.
He's looking like it. He's looking like it. I think they asked Klopp about it, I think last week, and he said that there is a difference in Salah. His overall game, he said, I think, has improved a lot this season. So he's definitely had a word with him, Klopp, and he's looking a completely different player. So I'm loving that.
Yeah, I think some players, when they win the title, it kind of pushes them on to be better. So I think with him, obviously his first season, he's trying to prove himself because of what happened at Chelsea. So I think that's probably why he came in so on fire, because he was like, you know what, I've got my second chance at the Premier League. And obviously he was amazing. But I think winning the league's probably pushed him onto a higher level, which is obviously not good for us, but great for you.
I think he wants the Golden Boot back as well, because he won it in his first 2 years and obviously lost it last year. So I think people kind of, Liverpool fans included, some of them, they're against Salah in terms of he's greedy and stuff like that. I've never been against him for his greediness. I don't mind it, to be fair. But I don't mind it at all. But he's my problem with him has just been his overall game. He's been giving the ball away a lot the last couple of seasons, not holding it up that well. Just looking really frustrated. I'm frustrated to watch him during games the last couple of years, but this year, I'm like, give the ball to him at all times, because he just looks, whenever he gets it, he looks like he's going to do something with it.
Yeah, I think that first season, everything he hit went in.
Yeah.
Touch went in the net. Like, he would just, the ball would come to him, he'd just scuff it, and it would be in the back of the net. And I just think, wow, like, how is that possible? Sometimes it looked like he's never going to score, and he would. So, yeah, I think if he's half as good as that season, he's a good season. Do you know what I mean?
He's taken on players a lot more this season, which he hasn't done a lot for the last couple of seasons. So that's why I'm really happy to see as well.
Yeah. That's good. Mike's, there's one for you, Rose.
Oh, thanks.
There's a question for you, Raiyaan. It says, from Why Not Sentiment. Thanks for your comments, by the way. Raiyaan, what happened to Salah's ability to ride the challenge or free? I missed that Salah. Now it's looking like Rose-Ed snipers.
Talk about diving. Well, even I have to admit, last week there was contact, but it was a dive. I have to admit it was a dive. I'd say it was a dive, but it wasn't a dive because there was contact, but he definitely made the most of it. But to be fair, I'd say for the last year, maybe last season, he's actually, whenever he's played, there's been times where he's been, touched in the box where he could have gone down, but he's actually stayed on his feet. But people don't really notice that. And sometimes I'm like, oh, he should have gone down there, Salah. So he's not, he does dive sometimes, like quite a lot of players do, but there's actually been a lot of times as well where he's stayed up when he probably should have gone down. So I think he does get too much criticism for it sometimes, to be fair.
Yeah, I think obviously that was a dive last week, I think.
Yeah, it was.
But I think it's the way he goes down that looks very dramatic. That's why people comment when it's very dramatic. When it's not dramatic, I think people just kind of go, oh, he fell over or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do agree in a way, because I know when Aguero first came, he would never go down. Like, even that goal where we won the league, he could have gone down then, and it would have been.
Oh, yeah.
But I think he never used to go down ever, and we never got anything. And he'd be like, ref, he's kicked me. And they'd be like, well, you missed your shot or whatever, or, you lost the ball if it went out of play. Yeah. And he actually learned that he needs to go down.
Yeah.
So now Aguero will go down a lot more, whereas at the beginning he was, which I rated him for because I thought he's so good that he can stay on his feet, but you don't get any credit for doing that. So in a way, I think players kind of have to go down in the Premier League for the referee to make the right decision, because the referee never looks at a challenge and thinks that would be a pen if he went down. So it's almost, some players I think are better at it than others. Some kind of make it look like a foul when it wasn't. I think Mane's better at that than Salah. Salah's
Mane's
very dramatic.
Mane's great.
Mane will go down and it kind of looks, oh, is that a pen? Even if it's not. So yeah, I think it just depends. What do you think, Rose, in terms of diving?
I agree. I feel like the referees are a bit inconsistent as well. So, for example, someone like Jack Grealish, he gets out a lot. Let's be honest, but he always gets everything, like any type of touch, anything. The referee literally always gives it as a foul. Whereby I feel like you said with Salah and even Aguero in the past, you basically have to go down to get anything. It's just weird how some players get it and some players don't. It's just weird. Yeah.
There was this one moment I remember last season. It was in the Champions League. I was at the game when we played Napoli at home. I think it was a 1-1 draw. And there was a moment in the second half when Salah, it was all over social media after, where Salah was in the box. He got the ball, and I think it was Koulibaly. He was all over him. And I'm like, if you went down, that was a stonewall penalty, but he just decided to stay up. And so, like I said before, there are clear times where he does decide to stay up. So it's not like he dives all the time. Like, he does get kind of harsh criticism for it at times, even though he does do it occasionally, like last week.
Yeah, I think with the diving sort of situation, I think when it's given is when they get the criticised. If they go down and it doesn't get given, and then they go down and it doesn't get given, people just kind of say, oh, they're just, because Sterling, it's happened a few times where he's gone down and it's not been given. It's been like, oh, he's trying to get a pen, but it kind of gets forgotten about because we don't get the pen. But then the time when he tripped over his own feet, they gave a penalty, and he was like, he didn't even appeal for it. It's not like he said, but everyone was like, he's dived.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't actually dive. He
didn't.
Over, but it was because it got given. He was criticised for diving. So I think it just depends what happens. I think with Liverpool, a few times what's happened is, somebody has dived in a particular game and it's won you the game. So people will say you wouldn't have won that if he didn't dive. So I think that's where the criticism comes in. I think if you win in 6-0 and he does it, I don't think people really talk about it as much. So I think it kind of depends on stuff like that. Oh, by the way, guys, get in your predictions. Let us know what you think the score is going to be. We've got one here from Mike's. He says, I predict 2-2 or 3-2 to someone. I think we've all kind of agreed with that. In here, Neeks says, will Ferran Torres play as a striker like he did midweek? What do you think, Rose?
I think now that Gabby's back, I think Pep's going to go with Gabby in the middle as a striker and then Torres on the wing. That's what I think he'll do,
Yeah, I agree with that. He does play really well in that role, though, which is good because now we've got options. Because before it was kind of like we're playing Sterling there. Sterling does need a lot of chances to score quite often. So I think if we can get someone in there that's clinical, which I think we found a clinical player, and his goals are really good as well. It's not tap-ins. It's really good goals. So, he looks strong. I'll ask you as well, Raiyaan, what do you think? Do you think he'll play?
Ferran Torres, I actually haven't watched him a lot this season, so I don't really know what he's about that much. I know he scored a few goals, but I don't think he'll play as a striker in this game. I think if Jesus is fit, he's going to go with I think he will go with Jesus in the game.
Yeah, I think he's been criticised a few times for not playing a striker. So I don't think he will play Torres there. Gabby wouldn't play on the wing, so he's definitely going to be central. And Torres will be out on the wing. But he looks quite good on the wing as well. So, we'll see. Mike says Pep might set up how he did against Arsenal, but might start Jesus. Yeah, possibly. I think with Pep, he's kind of got a different lineup for the Champions League than he has for the the Prem, because the Champions League we seem to be very attacking. You know, we've got Varane, we've got Foden, who makes a massive difference when he comes on. When we play in the Prem, it seems to be like your Mahrez and your Sterling, who love to miss chances. So I hope he's learned I think he's learned a little bit that he needs to start Torres. But with Pep, you just don't know. What do you think, Rose?
I don't know. Like, do you feel like he's maybe going more for the Champions League than the Premier League? Because I don't understand his selection sometimes. Like Mahrez honestly has not played well. I think he played against Olympiacos. He wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But just in general in the Premier League, he hasn't been great, and I just don't get why he's starting players like Mahrez in the Premier League.
Yeah.
All the time.
Especially when you can see how on form Foden it, because Foden, I love Foden, but this season he's just looked a level above. So I think for him to kind of get dropped and then come in and get dropped and then come in, based on performances, it should be Mahrez that's getting dropped and coming in rather than Foden, you know. So I don't think he'll start Foden. I'd be very, very, very surprised to see him. But it would be nice, you know, because of how good he is at the moment. Or if not, at least bring him on at half time and give him 45 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So why not sentiment says, Rose, how's Jesus' shooting boots been?
He's only just come back, but he scored straight away against Olympiacos. So he's going to do good. Yeah.
I think for all the criticism he gets, he tends to score. Like, it's like Aguero. Aguero can have the worst game ever and score a goal. Like, it's mad. But I think it's kind of because of Man City, because we create so many chances. Like, it's rare that you're not going to get a goal. And when you don't get a goal, it's when we do not create chances, or everyone just misses. But yeah, I think even if you miss 5 at City, there's still an opportunity for a goal. So I don't know. Maybe not today.
That's the same with Salah and Mane. With us, Salah and Mane miss a lot of chances. Like, they're not clinical at all, but because they get so many chances, they're gonna put one in eventually. So if they were clinical, they
like that where it's been like they're terrible and then Mane will still score because he's I love Mane. He's a great player. So, but yeah, go on. What were you saying?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was it.
Okay. Neek says Sterling versus Gomez part 4. Oh my god.
Oh, that terrifies me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them two now. They still play for England, so I'm assuming it's all done and dusted, but we'll see. He said at one point Liverpool said Gomez. You know what?
Oh my god.
I think people were calling Liverpool like a one-man team, like saying if Van Dijk doesn't play, you lose, and people were saying, but Gomez is there. So it'll be interesting to see.
I've never said that.
Why not? Sentiment says Raiyaan, Gomez, or Lindelof.
I'd go Lindelof. I just feel Lindelof. I think he's not as rash as Gomez. So, and there are some games. I think Lindelof's reading of the game, from what I've seen, isn't that bad. Gomez's reading of the game's all over the place. So, it's not saying much, but I'd go Lindelof over Gomez.
Yeah, I think with Liverpool, because Van Dijk's been so strong, it's probably allowed Gomez off a little bit, because I think sometimes when you're out of position, because it's happened with City before, when you're out of position, but you've got somebody at the back like a Van Dijk or a Company or even like a Laporte at the moment, when you've got a player like that, they make the challenge or whatever, the goal scoring opportunity is gone, or the goalkeeper makes a good save, whatever, and it's kind of like that mistake from Gomez is kind of forgotten about. So I think that's probably why, because I don't watch Liverpool religiously or anything like that. Yeah. But when I have watched them, Gomez has kind of looked all right, but he's been next to Van Dijk.
Yeah. Anyone can look good next to Van Dijk.
Yeah, I've not really seen him on his own to know who's better out of him and Lindelof. Whereas Lindelof has got Maguire next to him, who hasn't been always at his best. So it's quite hard to tell, unless they play in the same team. It's quite hard to tell who's kind of better, because sometimes they get kind of carried by the person next to them. He also says City's and LFC's best mid three currently. I think he's asking us. So who do you think, we'll start with you, Rose, who do you think City's best mid three are?
Obviously KDB.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I would go with Fernandinho over Rodri, personally.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that Rodri is the one playing now. And I don't know, I'll probably go with Foden. Although it's a bit more attacking. Yeah, with Fernandinho there and then KDB and Foden, I think that would be our best midfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, Fernandinho is my favourite, so he's always going to be in there anyway. But I think with Fernandinho, somebody said it the other day, which is interesting. They actually said, stop trying to compare Rodri to Fernandinho, because it's going to be hard to find a Fernandinho. So I think when you're at that sort of level, it's hard. Like anyone that comes in now, they're not going to be better than De Bruyne. So to kind of say, so say De Bruyne, like, because he's going to be 30 this year. So in 2 years' time, people will be saying, the new De Bruyne. But it's like, he's at such a high level that it is going to be hard for anyone to kind of come in. But I do think Foden is really good. He's young, and I think he's only going to get better. So, yeah, I'd say them three. I think Bernardo is absolutely brilliant on his day, but then he's not always on form. So his form kind of dips. But when he's on form, he's a David Silva. Do you know what I mean? He controls the game. He's brilliant, but he's not as consistent as David Silva. So David Silva would be great for, most games in the season, whereas Bernardo kind of has a good game and then two that are kind of all right. I think it is all about consistency with us. I think the same with Mahrez and Sterling, it's just whether they're consistent. Sterling seems to get a lot of goals, regardless of his form, regardless of how many he misses. How many he should have is a completely different story. But he still manages to get goals. So, yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe Sterling over Foden just based on where they are at the moment. But I think in 2 years' time, it'll be Foden. What do you think for yours, Raiyaan?
Is this when they're all fit?
Yeah, it's your best three.
I would say Fabinho in the DM role, Henderson and Thiago.
Yeah.
Just got the best balance to it as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Neeks is hating. So he says Neeks isn't a striker, he's a forward. Stop hating on the on the Aguero's little brother. Why not sentiment says, I don't mean Salah's goals, just his ability to drive past people.
Yeah.
Man and slip. Okay.
Yeah. All right, is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, in his first season, he was going past players all the time, scoring goals, all that. But like I said, the 2 seasons after that, where he won the Champions League and the Premier League, he scored goals. But, I said he was giving the ball away. He wasn't taking plays on. His touch was a bit heavy at times, just stuff like that. So it was frustrating. But this season, I've seen him drop deep some more times, drop it bit more wide, taking plays on, beating them. He's just looked a lot more sharp this season, I'd say. And yeah, he's good. He's just been brilliant, like I said. Probably our best player.
Yeah. Just Gems says, with City having a slow start, only 5 points out of the game in hand, how optimistic are you about the Premier League? I'll start this one. I think it's interesting this season because even though we started slow, I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying, because I've had a lot of people say to me like, City have been terrible this season. And I feel like the first couple of games, we didn't have our defence. Like our defence was not where it needed to be. I think now we're a lot stronger in our defence. Diaz has kind of come in and settled in straight away, but I think he'll only get better because it's a new team. He's still new to it and he's doing so well. So I think he will only get better. I think defensively, we've already kind of sorted ourselves out. We're keeping clean sheets and consistent back-to-back clean sheets as well, which we weren't doing last season. So I'm not really worried long-term. You know, I think if Liverpool had won all of their games, I'd be saying, you know what, it's already a bit too late. But I think with them losing one, drawing one, we've lost one, drawn two. So I don't think it's as bad as it seems. If we do beat Liverpool today, it doesn't really matter. The start of the season, it kind of refreshes because they've lost two, drawn one, and we will have lost one, drawn two. So it'd be quite similar. I don't think Southampton are going to go on to win the league. You never know, but I don't think so. So I think as long as we kind of keep Liverpool near us, Chelsea near us, you know, the teams that we're going to be challenging against near us, I think we'll be all right. I think it's a slow start, but I think that's due to no pre-season. I think everyone's kind of struggling a little bit. In terms of optimism for the Premier League, I still think we should be at least challenging, not like last season where it was kind of done by Christmas. We need to be challenging. I think that our team is good enough. I think we're on a level with Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool are up here and we're down here. I think squad-wise, we should be at least challenging. So I want to see a title race and I want to see it close. Well, hopefully, if it's not close, it's us that are on top. But yeah, I think I'm still optimistic. We'll see what happens. You know, obviously, if we lose today, it changes things a little bit. But yeah, I think we just need to keep there and thereabouts. What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I feel like the injuries haven't actually helped. That's why we probably started off quite slow. We've had KDB out for some games. We've had Laporte out for some games. We've had Jesus out. We've had Aguero out. We've had Fernandinho out. So that's not helped us at all. And obviously now that we are getting players back like Laporte, De Bruyne and Jesus back, I do expect us to, you know, kick off from there. And on top of that, it's obviously we've got Ruben Diaz who's just come in, and then we've got Aki as well. So they still need a bit of time to settle in as well. So I feel like as the season goes, City will get stronger. And on top of that, you've got to think about it. Like Liverpool lost 7-2 to Aston Villa. So in my opinion, and we lost 5-2 to Leicester. So anyone can beat anyone this season. I think this is a really strange season.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to be very close with a lot of teams, not just Liverpool and, you know, City, probably even Chelsea and maybe Spurs.
Yeah.
Probably going to be like an average of like an 80, maybe 86 max point season. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that Leicester win has kind of taught a lot of these teams, like, you can win the league. Because I think before it was very, if it's not City, it's Chelsea. It's not Chelsea, it's United. You know, it was very close. Like, you kind of knew who was going to win the league out of 3 teams. So even if Chelsea were 10th, City were 11th, you'd be like, one of them two is going to win the league. Whereas now, you know, it's like people are joking saying Everton are going to win the league and Southampton are going to win. But honestly, like, it could actually happen. You don't know where the league is at the moment. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. You know, the Premier League is a crazy one. I think this season even more so. Like, if you'd have said to me, Villa are going to win 7-1, I would have put a lot of 7-2, was it? I would have put a lot of money on that you're chatting rubbish. Like, I would have been like, there's no way. Because I even thought when I saw the fixture, oh, great, we've lost. Liverpool, clear win, probably 4-5-0. I was not expecting, I know Villa have been doing well, but I was not expecting that. So this season's crazy, as you know, as it is. Because even last season, like Liverpool, obviously fantastic. Even when they lost, I think their biggest defeat was probably to us. But it's City.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. Even though you had a great season and you won it, losing 4-0 to City is not really. It's not a shock, really. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like a Villa sort of thing, or like for us, like a Leicester.
I say last season the biggest shock for us was losing 3-0 to Watford.
Yeah, Watford, yeah.
I remember that one. But the league was already pretty much done, so it didn't matter in the end that much.
I think if that game is earlier on in the season, I don't think you lose that. I think it's just based on where it was. I think it's almost like, I know people say it a lot, but it's almost like your players probably thought they'd won that game before it started.
Yeah.
And I think Watford probably just came out and thought, you know what, we're going to try. And, you know, sometimes it works. It's the same with us. Like, we got beat by Norwich. Like, teams will come out and think, we've got 0 points or we've got 5 points for the season. We're going to go and beat City. And they will. So, yeah, I think it's quite hard to predict. What do you think in terms of your chances for the Premier League? Are you optimistic?
I'm less optimistic after Van Dijk got injured. You know, before that I was, even after we lost 7-2 to Villa, obviously was very worried, but I was still like, that's probably a one-off. We'll bounce back. Yeah. When Van Dijk got injured, I was obviously, gutted. But one thing that I did think was, it's not as if anyone else around us has a good defence. I know City's defence has improved, but I still think it's vulnerable at times, like especially down the left and stuff like that. Chelsea, they've improved recently, but I still think you can get at them. Same with Man United, Tottenham. So I don't think any team's got a good defence or is the perfect team either, I still think out of everyone, we're probably still, with City, the best. I do think it's actually only going to be between Liverpool and City this season. I might be wrong about that. Chelsea are looking decent at the moment, but I personally still think it'll either be one of Liverpool or City winning the league, and hopefully it's going to be very close though this season.
Yeah.
I think one thing that might help us is I think City really, really want the Champions League this season. Pep, the players, the owners. So I think they might put a bit more emphasis on that and maybe put a lot of their eggs into that basket of winning the Champions League, which might affect their league form. So maybe that could help us, but it's still going to be really close. And wouldn't surprise me if City won it this season at all, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with what you're saying about my defence being like good. How do I explain this? Even though we've got Ruben Diaz and Laporte, who I think are going to be solid this season. I feel like these next two fixtures, so against Liverpool and Spurs, are really going to see if like our defence issues have somewhat been sorted. Like, I don't know. Obviously, it's early days, but they're really going to be tested in these next two matches. So,
I think the way we play as well, it always puts us quite vulnerable at the back. Because we're so attacking. Whereas other teams will like counter, we don't really counter. We will go at people, and then usually teams tend to like park the bus or have a lot of men behind the ball, in front of the goal. So it's most of the game is spent us trying to break people down. So I don't know. Maybe with Liverpool, I think why we've done so well against Liverpool at the Etihad is because they will come and play, and they do try and score, and that kind of gives us a bit more space. Liverpool aren't really going to come, and I think they've only come once to maybe park the bus against us, and that was in the Champions League where they had a lead, and that messed us up, and we really struggled that game. But I don't think Klopp will come to park.
No,
it's too early in the season.
Yeah, he won't.
He's not going to do that. So I think, hopefully, they don't, because it's easier for us to play like that. But again, it'll be end to end. So that's why it's more likely to be a 2-2 than like a 4-0 City or a 4-0 Liverpool. So just Gems says 3-0 City.
It could be. You can't really rule out any scoreline. Yeah, you can't rule out any scoreline for this game.
But I just think I can't see Liverpool. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet against Liverpool. But you never know. We did it last season with a worse defence. So who knows?
I think one thing that I've seen with City this season that surprised me is that going forward, I think their biggest problem this season has actually been going forward in the when they played in the league. When I've watched them, they don't. I'm not talking about their strikers missing chances. I'm talking about they're not really creating as many chances as they did, let's say, a couple of years ago when they were just phenomenal. It's just quite surprising. they've looked. I remember, I think it was the game against Arsenal, where I think you won 1-0. But I remember watching that second after you went 1-0 up. I just thought City are just going to run away with this game now. But in the second half, I just watched you and I thought they can't. They're not even keeping the ball as well. They just look a bit toothless at times. And I'm seeing City sometimes actually try and kind of pump it long at times and put crosses into the box in the air. I'm like, they never used to do that a couple of years ago. So, and I think I've seen Pep has gone a bit. At times he's played, I think, Fernandinho and Rodri together. And, I think a couple of years ago, Pep would never have, done something like that, putting 2 DMs in the team. So it does seem to me he's maybe gone a bit more, I wouldn't say negative, but a bit more defensive than what he has done in the league this season, which has quite surprised me, to be honest, with him.
Yeah, I think in terms of why we're not creating as many chances is I think David Silva is a massive loss for us. I think he was the guy pulling the strings, basically. And I think with him gone, De Bruyne obviously is brilliant, but somebody said it the other day, like, De Bruyne has not even been that good this season. Like, he's still brilliant, but in terms of creating chances, he would normally be creating more than he is. And it sounds strange to say because he's still been really good, but I think, he's had a few games where I thought, De Bruyne, what are you doing? Like, he'll give the ball away. And, I don't know what it is. I think it's probably tiredness. And he wasn't fully fit, I don't think. But he looks better now, and hopefully it's just like one-off. But it's amazing because they were saying that he's got this amount of assists, but people are saying he hasn't even been that good. And it's like, so I think as the season goes on, I think that will improve. I can see us creating more chances. I can see us being a little bit more clinical because we haven't really been that clinical. So we'll see. But yeah, like you say, normally a game against Arsenal, we go 1-0 up, it's 3-0. We weren't doing that. So what do you think, Rose?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Pep is being a lot more cautious in the Premier League. Like I said before, it's just strange the way that he's going, like, in the Premier League as opposed to the Champions League. And I just don't know why it's so different. And yeah, I agree. Like, for some reason, I just feel like we let David Silva go too early. I think maybe just one more season. I don't know, just one. Like, look what he's doing at the new club that he's at. Like, why have we let him go? Like, are Real Sociedad like top of their league, or I think they're even top of their league?
He's it's crazy.
Like, why? I just don't get it. But the good thing is, KDB, I think he's got 2 assists in the last 2. I don't know if it's 2 or 3. So I think he's gonna probably get a few on Sunday as well, and I think he'll be back to his best.
Why Not Sentiment said, I remember first season he would get kicked. I'm assuming this is about Salah. Running down the wing, ride it out and still bag. Just despite my most memorable was when he did the yoga celebration.
I remember that.
Yeah, I do.
That first season was just
it was phenomenal.
No, he was unreal.
Why Not Sentiment says 2-1 City. I think if we do win, it'll be close. It'll be 3-1. It's not going to be some big. Michael Philbert says Sterling will definitely start. He's our most threatening player. Sterling is our best attacker.
He doesn't usually have good games against us, though. He had a good game when you beat us 4-0, but before that, he doesn't usually play well. We do give him a lot of stick when he comes to Anfield.
You do.
And my favourite part of the game is when he does eventually get substituted in the second half. But, you've got to play Sterling. He's been brilliant.
I think
I don't like to say.
I do agree with that. I think that the pressure on him against Liverpool always really high, and I think, like you say, that 4-0, no crowd. That could affect how he plays, because especially Anfield. I think if we play Anfield this season without a crowd,
he could have a good game. That's
our best chance of winning, because the crowd really get onto us, and it does affect the players.
It's always a pretty hostile environment for City when they come to Anfield.
So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that fans are allowed back in by then. As a season ticket holder, I want to be back. But yeah, I think we'll see. Somebody said 3-1 City. I think it'll be a bit closer than that.
Yeah.
But I would take a 3-1 happily. Yeah.
It's making me even more nervous now.
4-0 City. That was I don't think it was the same 2 years in a row. I can't see that, but we'll see. You know, I quite like that. Can you guys do a combined 11? Oh, it's a hard one.
So if we do it, are we doing players who are fit?
Fit. Has to be fit players.
Okay, so fit players. So we'll start with the goalkeeper, Alisson or Edison.
I'll go Alisson.
I think it's a flip of a coin. I think they're both exceptional.
Yeah. They're brilliant goalkeepers, but I just feel Edison's the best I've ever seen with his feet. He's just unbelievable. But Alisson gets picked as number 1 for Brazil, so ahead of him. So I just think Alisson as an overall goalkeeper is better than him.
Yeah. It's a tricky one because actually, Edison recently has been really good because normally I would say like Edison is a bit more vulnerable with shots and stuff, but he seems to be doing his job at the moment. So I think based on current form, I would say Edison. But overall, maybe Alisson. I think it's a hard one, but I think it's like it's very close. I don't think there's a big difference in it. I think it's not like a player choosing between John Stones and Van Dijk. Like it's close. It's close. I can't really. I don't know. I'm gonna go for my guy Edison.
I'll go Alisson.
Do you say Reyes?
Honestly, I think I can't pick. I think they're both. To me, they're kind of the same. Like they're quite similar. They're both just exceptional goalkeepers, and I think they're just good for each club. So like Alisson suits Liverpool, and Edison just suits City. So obviously, I'm going to be a bit biased. Not that Alisson isn't exceptional. I'm just going to go with Edison because obviously City.
Okay, so we've got Edison in that. So let's start with right back.
I'll go Trent. I just think he's been over the last couple of years. He's been much more consistent than Kyle Walker, and I think he just offers more. Trent for me is going forward. He's definitely the best fullback in the world going forward, in my opinion. So I think it's got to be Trent for me. But
what do you think, Rose?
Yeah, I'm going to go Trent as well. But I must say that I feel like right now Kyle Walker has played a little bit better this season than Trent. Yeah. But overall, I'd rather have Trent in my team because of what he just offers going forward. So yeah, probably Trent.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think overall Trent, but this season Kyle Walker has been on fire. So you know, and people have criticised me before because I wasn't a massive Walker fan, but he's actually proven that he is, you know, a brilliant player. I can't argue anymore. Like I used to be like, oh no, I don't like Walker, but now I'm like, I can't not like him. You know, he's doing what he needs to do. So I think overall Trent in a combined 11, but obviously defensively at the moment, probably Kyle's been a little bit better, but we'll see. So centre backs, it doesn't have to be left, right. I think we'll just do 2 centre backs. So
if I'm being honest, Van Dijk would get him if he was fit, but if I'm being honest, you can have both Laporte and Diaz. If you know, I'd probably say those two.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah. I think if everyone's fit, I'm picking Van Dijk.
Yeah.
It's a hard one between Diaz and Laporte because Diaz looks very strong and he's come in playing really well, and I think he'll only get better. But if we're talking long term, Laporte has proven it over a longer period of time. So I'd say Laporte and Van Dijk. But right now, probably Van Dijk and Diaz, or Diaz and Laporte. So
okay.
if you think, Rose.
Yeah, I would go with Laporte and Van Dijk as well. But obviously, because he's not fit, I would just go with Ruben Diaz. It's still early days for Ruben Diaz. Obviously, we're yet to see what he's going to obviously bring throughout the season. But yeah, I'll go with him.
Yeah. And then we've got left back.
Yeah.
probably the easiest one on
Yeah, so
which to be
easy.
honest.
That really does.
Robertson.
Yeah, Robertson, yeah, definitely.
What, you're not saying Zinchenko? I thought it was.
Oh my gosh.
What's happened to him? What's happened to him over the last couple of years?
No.
He's not even a left back. Like
That's
our
the
left
thing.
back is crazy. Like, you know, Cancelo comes in and does a little bit of a job. You know, we've got Aki now who does a little bit of a job, but yeah, it's not what we'd want really.
Yeah.
But let's think. So we'll just do it quickly because it's a lot of time. But I think the midfield, should we pick a 3? I don't know.
Yeah, 3 in midfield, I'd say. Yeah. If they were all fit, I'd say Fabinho, Thiago, and De Bruyne.
Yeah.
But obviously, Fabinho and Thiago aren't fit, so De Bruyne is obviously in. I'd put Henderson in personally. You know, people might laugh at that, but he has. Henderson's a weird one because I've never rated him in terms of his actual technical ability, but you know, in the last few years, I have had to admit that when he has come in, when he's not in the team, we don't look good at all in midfield. So he's just vital for us. So I think I'd put him in. He's a great captain, so great leader. So I think he's crucial for our midfield. So I'd put him in, and I'd probably put. Well, Fernandinho isn't fit, is he? So
Yeah, he's not.
And Fabinho isn't fit, so and Thiago isn't fit, so it's probably got to be Rodri. I don't really rate Rodri, but it's probably got to be Rodri in midfield.
Yeah. I would have probably gone with Fabinho. It's weird.
Yeah,
I think he's really good. He's really solid
Yeah,
in
he's
that position
brilliant.
for Liverpool, and the fact that he can even slip into defence as well, just like Fernandinho. I'll go for him because he's a little bit younger.
I mean, we could put Henderson in the DM role, and then maybe you could play De Bruyne and Foden, Bernardo Silva, someone like that. I'd say.
Yeah, I know Henderson had an exceptional season last season, but I don't know. I don't really rate him that much. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I feel like obviously because he's English, I feel like he's a bit hyped, but that's what I think. But I would probably go with Rodri, KDB, and Foden only because they're fit. But if Thiago was fit, because I think he's so good. Like he's.
I still can't believe we've got him.
Like his ability, I just don't get how Liverpool got him. His ability is just he's just different class. I would have gone with Thiago Silva over Foden, but because he's not fit, I'll go with Foden.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think based on who's fit, I think our midfield is better than Liverpool's at the moment. So De Bruyne obviously goes in. If everyone's fit, I'd say Thiago Silva.
Alcantara.
Sorry.
Thiago Silva's the defender,
Thiago Silva, yeah. No, I'd go with Thiago. I don't know. It's quite hard because DM wise, I agree with Rose. I think Fernandinho for me is brilliant, but I think he's a lot older.
Yeah.
So it would be Fabinho based on that. But yeah, not fit, I would say. Probably I'd pick Rodri over Henderson. But that's because it's a combined, so it's not Liverpool. But I know Henderson does a lot for your team. But with it being combined, it's a little bit different. So yeah, I'd probably go with Rodri. De Bruyne, obviously. I don't know. Maybe when he's on form, I'd say Sterling. But
in midfield
this season, I suppose he's going up front. I don't know.
It's a hard one because there's just so many injuries.
It's a hard one, yeah. I'm trying to think. Probably Foden. But if not Foden, on form, Bernardo is brilliant. So I don't know. It's a hard one for me, the midfield, because I think with the injuries, it's quite hard. Obviously, without injuries, it's easy. It's going to be Thiago, De Bruyne, and Fabinho. So, so going forward, who are we saying? So it's free. It's another free, isn't it? That's why I'm putting Sterling in midfield. I'm doing like a different formation.
Aguero isn't fit, is he? So he would normally go down the middle, but he's not fit, so he can't go in. I'd go Salah on the right. It's between Mane and Sterling on the left. Just because of my bias, I'd go Mane. And up front, there's a case I could put Jota in there, to be honest, judging by his current form. I could put Jota in, to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna go with Salah and Mane. Like, how can you drop them two?
Yeah,
I think they've had a better season, especially Sterling. Sterling hasn't been that great this season.
No.
Obviously, I would have gone for Aguero in the middle. But obviously, after what Jota did in that Champions League match, it's just wow. But I think I would probably go with Torres in the middle. I don't know if I'm just being biased. So Torres and then Salah and Mane.
If it was Fernando Torres, I'd say all day long. But
no, I think obviously with Torres, like Torres has just scored 3 in 3 Champions League matches, like on fire. But then again, Jota's on fire as well.
Yeah,
it's I don't know, either one of them.
I think I agree with you. I think on current form, Jota and Torres are both on fire in different ways.
Yeah.
So it is quite hard to choose between them two. Obviously, on your wing, I put Mane in there anyway, because I like Mane. And then it would be normally, based on like last season, it would be between Salah and I don't really know because Mahrez hasn't been great for us. But it'd be more difficult to kind of pick them two. But I think based on who's fit and how they're playing, it's going to be a mainly Man City midfield and a mainly Liverpool attack. I think based on what it is. But if everyone's fit, Aguero is undoubtedly
definitely
playing in front. But yeah, I think anyone between Torres and Gomez. What am I talking about?
Jota.
Diogo Jota. Yeah. Any of them two can go up front. That's fine for me. As we'll just get to some of these comments and then we'll wrap up because it's quite late. The other game's already started. Rose looked upset doing red. He also says, Raiyaan, what is the deal with, in my opinion, Liverpool's best midfielder after Thiago, Wedge, Gini, Wijnaldum?
Yeah, I love Gini Wijnaldum. He's a brilliant. He's underrated as well, to be honest. He's just a good all-round midfielder, but in my opinion, in terms of abilities, he's got more ability than Jordan Henderson, but Henderson is just so important for our team and midfield that he has to go in. And in terms of Thiago and Fabinho, they're just, the two first names in midfield, to be honest, especially Thiago. So you just can't leave Thiago, Henderson and Fabinho out. So yeah, and I don't think Wijnaldum's actually been that good this season either when I've watched him. So, yeah.
I think, my opinion, because I really liked Wijnaldum when he was at Newcastle. I really liked him. I think it's almost the same issue as City. Like, because the team around him is so good, it would be very unlikely for him to be absolutely rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Because the players around him are so good. If he passes the ball to Salah and he scores, that's an assist. So automatically your stats are looking good based on who's around you. I think for me, he's not as good as your other midfielders. So I don't know. Maybe at Newcastle, obviously he looked very good for them. But I think at Liverpool, just based on who's around him, and I think
he does get overshadowed.
Not as good. I think even if Henderson's not as good, he's your captain, so he's gonna play over him anyway. So, what do you think, Rose, about Ronaldo?
I don't know. I feel like he's good when Liverpool are playing good, but like as a player, like he's just. I feel like I agree. He's just not as good as Henderson, and like I feel like Henderson always starts over him.
Yeah. Michael says, why do people keep saying Sterling misses a lot of chances when Salah and Mane miss just as much big chances?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, Liverpool fans criticise Salah and Mane for the same as we criticise Sterling for. I think it's just in them games where, you know, we haven't won and there's been chance after chance after chance and Sterling's missed.
Yeah.
We get onto him more, whereas if we're winning 5-0 and he misses 5 chances, no one's bothered. So I think it's just based on how the season's going so far. I don't think he started that well. I love Sterling. But yeah, it's amazing how he gets so many goals considering how many he misses. And I think Liverpool fans say the same for Salah, because I know Salah in particular misses a lot of chances. So
he does, yeah. And Mane. Mane's finishing is probably worse than Salah's, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I feel like Sterling's misses sometimes cost us the big games.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw against Lyon, like, come on, Sterling. I love Sterling, but that is the reason why
the open goal
out the Champions.
yeah. Oh God, I remember that.
It's just a bit costly. His one's a bit more costly, in my opinion. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, we're not going to get onto him if we're winning 5-0. He scores a hat trick and then he misses 5 chances. Like, it's always because it seems to be costly. But on the flip side, he's actually won us the league with his goals. So I can't criticize him too much because I'm thinking, you know, it just reminds me of Bournemouth away. You know, the Southampton in the final minutes. Like, he's won us so many games that have actually won us the league. So yeah, I think he just gets stick from us because we're City fans, you know what I mean? But as a player, he's brilliant, you know.
Yeah, he is.
His stats say it all. Why Not Sentiment says, Raiyaan, has Klopp learnt from the Villa game playing such a high line all the time?
100%. I mean, that high line cost us badly against Villa. You know, we haven't played the high line in recent games, even though we haven't been playing well. And I think Van Dijk being injured has had to force Klopp to play his defensive line deeper. So we have looked less vulnerable to balls over the top. But it does mean at times teams can have a bit more possession in our half. So I think he's definitely made the right decision, because the high line, you know, he did it because of VAR's come in, it'll pick up any little offside. But obviously against Villa, they got it spot on and punished us for it. So he had to change it.
I think that's the thing with them sort of teams as well, because they know how you're going to play.
Yeah.
They'll just think they've got nothing to lose. Like, you know, with City, we can't afford to kind of take risks playing against Liverpool, because if it goes wrong and we lose, you know, it's a big difference in the title race. Whereas I think Villa, they're playing Liverpool, champions. You know, they just about survived last season. I think they can take the risk and it paid off for them, you know. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you'll pay such a high line. But that being said, based on your current defence, I think you can get away with it less as well. So I think based on when Van Dijk's there, you know, he can sprint back, you know. So I think with your current defence, I don't think you would play that way anyway. So I don't know if it's such that he's learnt from it or whether he's kind of had to change it anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say because our first game back after after Villa was the Everton game, and he got injured in the first 5 minutes. So it's hard to say whether Klopp would have changed it, you know, if Van Dijk was still fit.
Yeah. Why Not Sentiment says, the league has mostly been a 2-horse race for the past 5 years. City and someone, Liverpool for the last 3. I agree with that. I think we're always kind of expected to either win it or at least be in the title race. So yeah, I think it's interesting because somebody actually said the other day, everyone's acting like this league is really different to how it normally is, but actually points-wise, it's not much different. Like, people, I think it's just because we're not seeing City top, Liverpool second, Chelsea third, United 4-4, or Arsenal 4-4, whatever. But results-wise, I'd just say the only difference for me is that City and Liverpool have already lost a game. Normally that comes in like February, March. So it's a little bit different. But I think in terms of title race,
I still think it's between Liverpool and City.
2 or 3 at best. Yeah, I can't see. I don't think Chelsea are ready to win the league this season. I don't think they are. But not saying they won't challenge and they won't come up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ready to win it. Obviously, Liverpool have already won it, so they're ready to win it. I think City, again, it's the same team pretty much that have won it. So I think we're there or thereabouts. United and Arsenal are not ready to win it.
No.
So yeah, I'd say a top 3 at push with Chelsea, and I think Everton with the squad they have and the manager they have. I don't think they'll do too badly, but whether they'll win the league, I don't think so. I don't think so over the season.
No.
What do you think?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Either of you. Yeah, go on, Rose.
Okay, I agree that it probably will be a 2-horse race in regards to City and Liverpool. But I don't know, for some reason I feel like City might just go for the Champions League a bit more. And I feel like Pep, it might just jeopardise our position in the league. And I don't know why, for some reason, I feel like Spurs might be really strong this season. Like, I just feel like Kane and Son, if they stay fit, obviously, and then Mourinho, you can just tell that he wants to win something with them.
Yeah.
I just feel like they could get that second position. I don't know why. Something's just telling me that. I don't know.
I think what might harm Spurs is they've got Europa League football.
Yeah.
I think
but
that's
they don't
what
play
might
well
harm
in that.
them.
They don't play well in that competition. I feel like they might get knocked out quite early in that competition.
Because I feel Mourinho, he's going to go for the Europa League, to try and win a trophy at Spurs, which is what they want. So
Yeah.
I think that will harm their league form, eventually.
Yeah. I think with Liverpool, with Spurs, I think, because for me, because I don't like Spurs at all, I was getting a bit worried in 2016, was it? Or 16, when Leicester won it.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-horse race between them and Leicester, and I thought, please don't let Spurs win it. I just didn't want Spurs to win the league. And then they finished 3rd. So I think with them, until they prove that they can do it, or at least get an actual title race where it goes to the end and they miss out narrowly. Because I think with the league, a lot of teams, apart from Leicester, and these one-off seasons, which I don't know if Spurs are that kind of club, but I think where people miss out narrowly, then they'll go and win it. So Liverpool missed out narrowly and then went and won it the next season. So I think Spurs would probably need to get to the point, like you say, finish second and be within touching distance of the title for them to then go on the next season and potentially win it. I don't think they're going to just go from finishing 5th or wherever they finished last season to win in the league. But you never know. It's the Premier League.
It's a weird one because I don't mind Spurs as a club. I quite like them actually in terms of I don't have a problem with their fans. And I've liked some of their plays a lot over the last few years. Kane, Son, Eriksen when he was there. So, and I loved Poch when he was at Tottenham. So, if Liverpool weren't going to win the league this season, I'd say I would want Spurs to win it personally. And I actually want Spurs. I would like Spurs to see Spurs win the Europa League because I just feel they deserve it. They deserve a trophy, for how good they've been the last few years. So I think they do deserve one. Just not the league because obviously I want us to win it. Yeah.
I think they might win the Europa League. I think that is the most likely title for them because actually over the years they've been quite good in Europe in general.
I think having Mourinho as well, who's won the Champions League, will help them.
Yeah, and he won it with United, and United were not good at the time. So I think their best chance of a trophy is probably the Europa League. Because I think in the cups they tend to always get Chelsea, and Chelsea pretty much always knock them out. So I think for them to win a cup, they'd probably have to avoid Chelsea. Probably have to avoid maybe even Arsenal because it's their rivals. And I'd say probably avoid Liverpool. Like there's quite a lot that they'd have to avoid. Whereas I think with the Europa League, they're kind of on their own in terms of, even if they come up against the English side, it's going to be Leicester or Wolves. So it's not going to be your Man United, your Chelsea's, your City's, your Liverpool. So yeah, I think that's their best chance. And I think with Mourinho, he does win trophies. That's what he does. So I do think they've got a good chance. And like you were saying earlier, City might go for the Champions League. They might go for the Europa League, which could affect how their league, because I think they wouldn't mind finishing 5th if they know they're going to win the Europa League, because then they get Champions League football anyway. So the chance of them having to finish in the top 4 lessens with how far they get in the Europa League, So yeah, I don't know. Why Not Sentiment says Spurs, 2-horse race and still finish 3rd. Conversation. I hope they win absolutely nothing. I'm not a fan of Spurs. I think just as a City fan, City and Spurs don't really like each other. United fans seem to like Spurs. For me, if we don't win it, I would like Everton to win it. Obviously, you would hate that. Simply because my granddad is a diehard Everton fan and he's 90 next year. So it would be quite nice for him. But obviously, I'm back in City, hopefully. But yeah, I don't mind Everton too much. We never used to like them. I remember like quite a few years ago, there was a lot of, if you went Everton away, it was a bit like, oh, I don't really like Everton. Mainly because their fans like moaning. I can't imagine that they would be this season if they were there, but we've had a little bit of sort of beef in the past. They used to be a bogey team for us. We never used to beat Everton. Like that game was like, if we got a point, it was a positive. So, it was almost like before we kind of got taken over, it was almost like Liverpool were easier to play than Everton for us. So, whereas now obviously it's not the case, but yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think, obviously, I don't want Chelsea to win it. Chelsea are on the same titles as us. I think we've got 6 each. I might be wrong. They might have 7 now. But I think we've got pretty much the same. So if we need to win again before they win, obviously, I don't want Liverpool to win it. The only good thing about Liverpool winning it is always the meltdown from Man United. That's the only positive. With you being on 20 with us, so they can't do that 20 times thing anymore.
Yeah,
that would be the but yeah, I'm just gonna wrap this up now because it's actually been quite a long time. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Oh, Everton game. Oh, so it was 1-0 Everton and now it's 1-1. Yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
So we'll see how that goes. I think that might be a draw. Everton normally takes something from United. And with United,
I reckon United might nick it. They just he seems to pull this result out when he's under pressure.
Yeah,
I agree.
I hope he does, to be fair. Hope he does, yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about that last night on a podcast. We were saying that I think they will win to keep him in his job, which is good for us, but yeah, I think long term they need to think about getting rid of him.
He's out of his depth. He's out of his depth there. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I know. But thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Raiyaan.
Thanks for having me on.
Always. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe, like the video. If you want to follow us, there's a banner at the bottom with our details.